Hi everyone, this is Paul Cooper with Totes and Notes, and it's currently Sunday, August 4th. I'm doing a case study, and just recently, this week, this Friday, closed on a pool of 11 non-performing notes. If you've been following me for a while and been getting the investor emails, then you've definitely seen me talk about them and show some of the details. Well, I had one investor ended up taking down all the notes, and this is what we're going to be working on for a while. And I think the next few case studies should probably be some, if not all, of these notes. And so we're going to do one today to get started. And we're doing Weldon, North Carolina. This is the only note that we have that's in North Carolina currently, and this is a non-performing CFD. If you're not familiar with North Carolina, Weldon's a pretty small suburb of about 1,500 people outside of Roanoke River, I believe, which is a town of around 20,000 people or so. So this Weldon's a little bit rural, but the town's there and there's a population, so it's not. I wouldn't call it big by any means, but it's not tiny. But yeah, it's kind of a blue collar area, slightly rural suburb of Roanoke Rapids. That's what it was. The values are solid, good range. UPB is currently $18,889 roughly, not quite $19,000. The bid is kind of hard to say because we bought this as a tape, the whole pool of 11, for $95,000 minus expenses and a couple credits here and there. So when I was originally dividing this up, I would say that the bid would be $7,250, and the way that I came to that was I divided $95,000 up evenly among the assets, and then I had to kind of adjust based on values. A few of them were vacant, and three of the lots were vacant, and so adjusted those down. And I'd say it's pretty fair to say that my bid, as far as the purchase price, would have been roughly $7,250 to acquire this asset since I got a part of the pool. So not too shabby. The P&I is $166.21 a month, so pretty low P&I. It does have an interest rate of 9.9%, which is good, but annually you're not even getting paid $2,000, so the payments are not the way that we're going to make money on this. The fair market value is roughly $45,000 to $55,000. Had a BPO go by, or had a realtor go by and do an exterior BPO. It does possibly need some light repairs. It looked like maybe that it needed a little bit of roofing. Otherwise, the property looks pretty good. And this was a 30-day move, quick sale price of $45,000 to $55,000. If we were willing to give it about 90 days or a little bit longer, we'd get a couple thousand more. But these are pretty good numbers. I'm very happy with those numbers. They're about $700 delinquent in taxes for this year, so that's not too bad. And the estimated expenses are $7,000, and that's a very standard expense that I just throw on to pretty much any non-performing note. That should cover most expenses associated with a non-performing note except an extensive rehab. So the asset strategies for this note and the corresponding ROIs are the performing ROI. It's 14%, so if we get them to start paying again, this isn't including any type of arrears or fees or anything like that. If they literally just start paying again, then this note would return 14%. Not that great, especially if you have an investor in this note with you, which I do. So that's not that great, but again, that's not what that's not the upside to this note. And if you look down here at the note sale, it's barely better than just keeping it as a performing note. It gets you about an extra percent. Again, if this note reperforms as is, not including arrears or anything, really not going to make that much money off of it, but that's okay. Here are the calculations here. Hopefully that makes sense. So basically for a note sale, and I've covered this a lot before, you're going to take the UPB minus the annual pay, multiply that by 85%, because you want to know what 85% of that new UPB after a year's worth of payments would be. And then you are going to add in the annual pay back in, subtract the total expenses, and divide by total expenses. Again, this is not completely accurate because a year's worth of payments aren't all going to go to principal, especially at 9.9% interest rate. A lot of that will be going to interest, so the UPB would actually would be higher than that. But again, easier calculation to do it this way, and if you're happy with this number, then you know you should be happy with a real number because it'll be even higher. The REO sale, so this is where we start getting good money. 80% of the fair market value time or minus the total expenses divided by total expenses. So we're saying that the fair market value as is right now is $45,000, so you take 80% of that minus $14,250, which is the acquisition cost plus $7,000 expenses, then divided by the $14,250, and that gives you an REO sale of 152%. This is up to change just because they may make us foreclose, they may not let us keep all the equity. It just kind of depends on the state and the judge. But this is the high side. Low side's still like 80% though. So it's a pretty good return on investment if we have to do an REO sale. If we do cash for keys, forfeiture, something like that, and we get the property back, assuming the interior's not too badly damaged and doesn't need a lot of work, then we could flip that pretty quick and make a really nice profit in a short period of time. So now we're on to the famous 10-10-10 rule, owner financing. Again, I've done this quite a bit. I know it can be fairly confusing. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm not going to try to do a full breakdown of it just because it gets pretty lengthy for everyone else that already understands. But the new terms, we're going to sell it for $55,000. Again, when you're doing owner financing, you want to sell it for the high end. You know, we were saying 55 that the property was worth 55 if it was fixed up. I would try to sell it as 55 as is, assuming it's habitable. And then I try to do 10 years, so that's 120 months, 9.98% interest, which is roughly 10, just 9.9 to be on the safe side. That gives us a P&I of $723.79. That may be a little bit on the high side for the area once you start adding in taxes and insurance. So I also calculate the 20-year. But this is what I'd prefer to get. And that gives you a yield of 60.8%, not quite 61%. That does not include the down payment, though. So, you know, a down payment would change these figures and it should actually increase your yield because you're getting more of your money back sooner. And then if we were to do a note sale with this new note, let's say we collect a year's worth of payments and we want to sell it, here's a note here on this. The sale price doesn't reflect the amortization again. I apply that year of payments towards principal, even though most of it would be going to interest. So again, if you're happy with this number, you should be really happy with the real number. And that number comes out to be 237%. Not bad at all. I mean, that's ridiculously good, even if it took you a year to get the property back, and then you got to collect a year's worth of payments. Even spread over 2.5 years, that's a very, very good return. You saw this here, 60% yield. You may want to just put that one in your back pocket and keep it forever. It's up to you. It just depends on your needs and wants. And then here's how the numbers change if you do it at 20 years. The note sale drops down to 235%. Really does not affect it much at all. However, it does affect the yield. The yield drops to 44.38%. So remember, the 10-10-10 rule, if you can follow that and get it to pay off in 10 years and structure the note that way, the yield's going to be higher than 20 or 30 years. But if you're planning on doing a note sale, it's not going to affect the note sale ROI nearly as much as it would affect the yield. And this would reduce the payments to roughly $427. So that's a pretty big drop. Realistically, if I couldn't get this, I'd probably run the numbers at 15 years first, just to see if I can kind of split the difference and get that. But if you had to do 20 years, I'd probably do the note sale and get that good cash and move on and roll it into another deal. But hopefully this makes sense. I went through it pretty quick because I've done quite a few of these. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I can definitely do another video that's more in depth on any of these calculations or all of them. And I'm going to have more case studies. And if you need any help breaking down numbers for yourself, whether you're practicing or actually trying to put in some bids, I'm more than happy to help. Don't hesitate to reach out. And I hope you all have a good weekend and take care.